I think most people probably have an impression. Now you're a Jungian, you're a trained
Yes.
Jungian analyst, and I think most people have an impression that's pretty far from embodiment, that they imagine Jungians to be very much in their head.
I agree. Yeah, that was my big problem when I went to the Jung Institute. I went to the Jung Institute from 1971 through 1977, and then people would throw dreams in the middle of the room written down, and they would start interpreting.
Yeah.
And I realized very quickly that that was not the way that I thought you could work with dreams, because the dreamer is more important than anything. And so then something else had happened to me, is that I had a very severe illness that lasted for several years and ended up in the hospital for 11 months. And Western medicine couldn't really affect it or change it. They did at times, but then it came back. And then in the first 2 years of my analysis, that was very much based on dreaming, my symptoms vanished. So I was really interested in the relationship between physical symptoms and images. So I was interested in how does it move through the body? How does it move in the body? And so that's why my embodiment work, when I started doing it, nobody was doing it. Nobody was interested in it in the late 70s, the mid 70s. That was not really people's interest.
I need to ask you about, and I keep blocking on his name, the other Jungian who's well known, Arnold Mindell.
Oh, Arnie, yeah.
Yeah. So was this breakthrough in your thinking, was that before him or after him? Or
when I first met him, he was still a mathematician and relative stick figure. And then he got sick. While I was in Zurich, he got sick. And then after his illness, he changed dramatically. But I came into, so we worked around the same time, and our development was around the same time. And he worked differently from me, but he was there a little earlier than I was. But he started out in his studies of mathematics and synchronicity. And I immediately went into embodiment because I had already been very ill, and going into analysis was a desperate act of trying to solve it in some kind of way, and it did. So it came really from within. And for him also, from what I remember, in 1972, I think he got sick. I remember how different he was afterwards, completely different.
Wow. Did you take any flack when you were at the Jung Institute for having this different view?
No, because I had this wonderful group of people at the Zürichberg Clinic, which was the Jungian training hospital. And my supervisor there, Tony Frey, he said to me, just go all out, just try it, keep trying it. And he was really helping me. And at a certain moment, I had this experience where there was a patient of mine, and I had this, and she just had a new boyfriend, and I had this sense in my body of my arm wanting to go up and say Heil Hitler. And I was saying, what is this? Why do I have this? And is there something about this relationship that I'm finding in my body that? And then he turned out to terrorize her, the man that went with this woman. He began to terrorize her in the most Nazi-like fashion. So something in my body had already picked something up in her telling and her talking. And so my teachers, my supervisor said, keep going with that, because this is something different. This is something new.